Good morning, everybody. I work at a company called Infusion, just a block away, and we actually have a similar mission to other companies that have spoken this morning. It's actually really cool to be in a room of kindred spirits. I mean, you're all here to learn about how to reinvent, things that have become stale, models that have become antiquated, and we're all bonded in that, right? That's what we're here for. We've been around for 15 years. There's 650 people around the world, and we work with some killer brands. Samsung, we do a lot of work with Samsung in retail innovation, and Build-A-Bear Workshop and Radio Shack and many others overall. We're a multidisciplinary type of group, combining a lot of different disciplines together into one team. But in the upper right there, just mildly, oh, there it is. We work with a vast ecosystem of partners to get any of this stuff done. Those of you who actually execute know you've got to orchestrate a whole bunch of things, to pull off a store of the future or any digital initiative that actually touches the physical world, because you really are often bumping up against those antiquated structures and really trying to be a change agent to make things happen overall. Well, the world's full of these kinds of models, and I'm just going to throw one up here really quickly. To do this thought exercise for IKEA, I was fortunate enough to get IKEA. You've got to understand the brand promise, what's unique about them, so that you're not just using technology as a cut and paste into that. You've got to have a unique consumer insight, of course, and IKEA was a little bit closer to the mark because I've shopped there. Many of you have as well. Thinking about how to use technology to create more loyalty and a better brand experience and map it to these really great trends that PSFK has identified. And then, of course, you have to understand technology, what platforms may already exist within that company overall. And the kind of work that we do, and I loved hearing it, it was really cool, the word platform has come up often. I come out of design, I love immersing myself in a great brand experience. That is actually what I get up in the morning to do. But if you actually don't think about it as a scalable platform, very often your company, or if you're in a service business like me, your clients, will not get too excited because many of them have to deploy these things in hundreds of locations, around the world often overall. So at Build-A-Bear Workshop, which was one of our clients, where we created this build your next best friend, experience overall. We got to come up with the adult version of that, But to be able to actually build a teddy bear, a commodity, but turn it into an actual experience was really quite marvelous, for us to be able to do. But that kind of experience was able to get a measurable 20 to 30% increase in in-store sales. And I saw a slide here earlier. I thought that was great. That actually, also talked about some stats. Share those metrics out with the world, because there's a lot of trepidation, and there's, to Piers' point before, Viva la revolución. We need to really, use metrics to convince people to actually start to move the needle on retail innovation and deliver tailored experiences that help drive sales. And in the case of Build-A-Bear, it was really unlocking unique experiences for kids. If it's your birthday and you enter your birthday on a squishy cake, your whole experience is different from the kid next to you. And we all want that. Even, the inner child in us as adults wants a unique experience. Okay, now let's talk about going to IKEA for a second. It's a mission. So let's think about the experience. And I think that most of us, in the business like to think about the consumer journey overall. Let's start with parking, the first nightmare. If you're going to IKEA on a weekend, good luck. You're really going to be driving around for a while trying to find spaces. But let's get more time in the store and less time trying to get in the store. So this just basic idea is, hey, let's use solar-powered green technology, signs, and sensors to be able to tell you, well, how many spaces are available in that lane. Now, this isn't an idea that could be unique to IKEA. I think, frankly, anybody who has to deal with parking, malls, like David Blumenfeld has to do with Westfield, parking can be a massive pain in the butt. And it's not thought of as like, oh, it's not my problem. But you know what? It's the very first touch from the brand. So some signage, actually, simple signage, that actually says, hey, of 20 spaces, 12 are available. Increase my odds and opportunities, reduce arguments in the in the parking lot. Okay. Another thing about IKEA, that whole 2 hours to get to it, et cetera, and then you have to wander through the maze. You've all had to do it. This idea is really based on the insight. You've got a very affluent, educated audience, a very IKEA audience in major urban centers, and because of the real estate costs, that's why they're out, in the boonies to some extent, overall to make it cost efficient for them. This idea is just simply about, leaning into this idea of micro stores for IKEA, which is kind of like counter, on one level, but the cost of monitor technology, the ability to cover a wall with, interactive screens, as we've already seen even from David's initial super giant iPad tests, which are kind of cool, is the idea like if you're shopping for things, you want to see them at scale, right? You don't want to look at them on a tablet. You want to see like, wow, that lamp is a lot taller than I thought. And as the cost of LCD and screen technology continues to come down, I believe very strongly you're going to start to see a lot more of surfaces coming alive and being not just billboards and annoying things, but opportunities actually to have really great and immersive brand experiences. So if we were able to go into an IKEA store that was actually the size of this room and move around, browsing through real-size lamps, and I can turn them around and actually have a virtual experience, and then just basically have them delivered to my apartment, the next morning or later that day, I would think that would be a pretty simple and effective use of technology, and frankly, even a new business model for IKEA to actually start to create more atomization and spreading that out, spreading the brand out into the world. So there's just so much material in IKEA, and even as a designer, I get overwhelmed by it. Well, does this lamp go with this? And so, IKEA realizes that, and they already have designers, that actually create, obviously, their materials. But this is an idea about basically having designers create the ensemble, pull it together for you overall, and use beacons within the store to be able to create more of a guided virtual tour through the space to get to the things that you want so that you're not like frustrated looking for it. I imagine it's tied into real-time inventory as well. So if something's out, it isn't shown to you at all. First step would be choose a famous designer, different styles like modern, classic, not a lot of classic there, but children's and office. Pick a design, pick a room. And BLE beacons, Bluetooth low energy beacons, could enable that experience as you move through, and you can track each unique customer as they move through a guided sensorial tour of the IKEA store, right? Taking it to a different level. Another idea, as I said before, obviously they have a business model where they pass all the drudgery onto you. So you have to go into the back, and you're spelunking through all the stuff, in the back room overall. And this idea is really, as you arrive, if you want to pay a little bit extra for this service, maybe it's offered for free at low traffic times, maybe it's $8, during high traffic times, but it will wirelessly pair you with an IKEA employee. Kind of like, and we sync our devices. Well, why not sync people? So I would actually be synced to somebody in the warehouse who would actually move around and collect my merchandise in real time as I just simply, tapped my phone on a device. Would I like a personal assistant? Yes, I actually would. I'm selecting this particular item. These are all of my orders. I can delete. I can even be auto-paying as I move through. Obviously, in the world that we live in today, and confirm my payment through biometrics on the devices and smartphones that many of you right now have in this room. And then when I leave IKEA, it isn't through the warehouse. It's through more of a VIP door where I just go to my car, and Sid or Bert or Sarah, or whoever's helping me, is already there with all this stuff ready to go to load up the car, just saving me a little bit of frustration. Last idea. Now, IKEA is about design, and there is a hugely passionate community around design and around interior design in particular. Just some inspiration, overall. We think we could tap into this, this passion by really creating in that idea that I started with far more expression of the people who actually have embraced the IKEA brand and really care about design, and actually want to share their ideas about how they've used IKEA products to transform their spaces. Small spaces, big spaces, what lamp goes with what, and even create a local help network. I'm looking for someone to actually build a koi pond in my backyard, in New Haven, Connecticut. Now, if I'm in the New Haven, Connecticut store, connect me to somebody who's got some talent, right there. So just be less about just moving that 1% of wood and moving, all this creativity and energy that is actually flowing through the IKEA store each and every day. And just closing very quickly, hopefully I did okay on time. Infusion is actually in January having a retail showcase. We do it every year as part of the National Retail Federation Conference, the big show, NRF. And you can reach us at that email address below if you'd like an invitation. Our VP of Marketing would kill me if I didn't do that. And it is time to say goodbye. I would like to actually thank Piers and the team, and actually IKEA, the brand, for inspiration. I love their products, and it was really cool to actually have this opportunity to think about them in more detail. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter.